Hello and welcome back. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Erin.
And this is the Getaways Podcast. Okay, so it's like the first week of December and it is getting cold.
And dark early.
Yes, very early. But it feels Christmassy. All the lights are up. Everybody's like in their warm jackets shopping and it's all kind of lovely.
Our Christmas tree went up last night. It's lovely. First Christmas in this house.
Yeah. So we talked about before wanting to spend our Christmas time in Scotland, which is what we get to talk about today.
Yay. I loved it. I loved Scotland so much.
It's a really, really beautiful place. And I think I liked it even more than I was expecting to.
I could totally live there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. So just as we get into like how we got there and our travel and everything, just a little side note that because we have Rex and the dog, we tend to drive everywhere we go when we travel. We don't do very much flying at all unless somebody's home with the dog.
He comes with us everywhere.
Yeah. So sometimes that means a lot longer of a trip to get there, but
sometimes the journey is just as fun as the destination. Not usually, but sometimes.
Well, I will say we took the ferry, and I didn't mind it so much.
All right, so the ferry line was DFDS, and I think they just go to England and Norway and France.
So obviously dogs are allowed. So we had a dog-friendly cabin, which they're all together on one sort of little row of the ship. And there's a bathroom area for them. There's also a kennel if you don't want your dog to sleep with you in your cabin. But it was all just very clean, very neat, very, lots of dogs, obviously. But everybody was well behaved and it was pretty lovely.
We literally, one of the most stressful things to me about taking a ferry is getting on the ferry with the car because you have to park so close and it's just all chaotic. But we just drove right up, got out, walked right in the door, and our room was right there. I mean, it was like fantastic.
Well, and not only that, when we got out of the car, some woman that worked there handed us a card of where the car was parked. So we didn't even have to remember. Like, it was so easy. So, okay, first of all, how long was the boat trip? I don't even remember.
It was 15 hours.
Yeah, so like I said, not quick, but also not terrible. The beds were totally fine, perfectly comfortable. The food, on the way there, we had a sit-down dinner, which was really good.
Yeah, 3 courses.
Yeah.
It was delicious.
Yeah, like shockingly good. So highly recommend that.
And we did the buffet on the way back.
Yeah.
Which was, it was fine.
Yeah, it was totally fine.
So much food to choose from.
And there's a duty-free store on. Dylan saw a movie on board.
Dylan watched Beetlejuice.
Yeah, so it's a long ride, but there's also stuff to do. I mean, it's essentially like a little cruise ship. There's everything that you could need to get through very easily.
There's bars with live entertainment.
Yeah.
There's snack places. There's a coffee shop that serves Starbucks.
All you can need. And then we got there. So we ended up getting there at like 9:30 in the morning or something. So we slept on the boat. And then we go through customs, and then we are on our drive to our Airbnb.
Which was in the Scottish Highlands, which was it was almost a 6-hour drive, right?
Yeah, it was a bit.
Which was a lot. So we were tired. We were a little bit more tired than we should have been. So 6 hours was a long time to drive.
Yeah. But
we usually keep our drives to 4.5 hours.
But the Airbnb was worth it.
That was like the coolest. It was a farmhouse, right?
Yeah.
It was an old farmhouse that had been converted.
But the best part was there was a fully fenced 2-acre garden for the dog. He thought that he was in puppy heaven. Like, you just open the door and he would fly out and do donuts and jump in leaf piles, and he just had a fantastic time. And it was pretty well situated. Yeah,
it was right outside of Narn, which is right on the sea, and we were about 30 minutes from Inverness.
Which is the little, like, it's the bigger town. But Narn was actually very cute, too, and had a lot of cute restaurants and cute shops and stuff. But one of my favorite things was very close to the Airbnb, and it was the secret beach.
Oh, the secret beach, which isn't so secret because if you Google it, you can find it. But you have to go down this road that only fits one car, but it's 2 ways. and you just turn off and it looks like you're going nowhere, and then you park by this farmhouse and it still looks like you're going nowhere, and you walk through marsh. Is that what that's called?
I guess so.
And then it opens up into the most beautiful beach, sand beach with tons of shells and cold water.
Cold water, but beautiful, empty, dog friendly. I mean, from the minute we parked the car, there's a gate to keep dogs and animals safe. So we closed the gate behind us, and he was free to run his little face off, on the sand in the marsh. Like, it was so beautiful. And we found the coolest shells down on the beach.
Yeah.
And it was perfect. I mean, it was just absolutely beautiful and peaceful, and it felt like our secret beach because there wasn't anybody there, and it was ours to just enjoy and explore.
So something Dylan and I did that you ended up not going on was with the Loch Ness tour on the boat.
Right.
Which we had booked tickets and we're going to take Rex, but it was crowded.
Yeah, dogs are allowed, but I just, when it's that confined of a space and there's that many people and that many kids, it's not fun for Rex and I. So we stayed and enjoyed the view while you guys headed out.
Yeah, it was short. It was like less than an hour. We just went down the loch and back, and we had hot cocoa, and we heard some history. It was nice. We did not see the Loch Ness Monster, though, which I was really disappointed about.
But you saw a castle on the way, too, didn't you?
We did. I'm not sure what it was called, though.
But it was lovely, I'm sure.
Yes, it was.
So one other thing I did not get to do because of Rex not being a fan, and he couldn't be left in the Airbnb by himself. So you guys got to see?
We went to see the Highland cows. And it was, Lisa found what was it on Get Your Guide, or?
I think I just Googled it.
This tour, and it was for like 8 people, and I didn't realize how amazing it would be, but it was actually the farmer who owned the farm that had all the Highland cows on, and he came and picked everybody up, took us up to his farm. He had probably 10 cows. We got to feed them. We got to hang out with them. We got to see some sheep. Dylan found his favorite cow, Fergus, and my favorite cow was Fiona, which I have a painting of her. I just loved her. I'm putting pictures. There's pictures up on the website, so you should check them out. So we did one other activity. We went to Brodie Castle and hiked around the castle and around the lake, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, and we were actually there on Halloween, and so there was little squash displays, and they were setting up the light. I guess there's a light demonstration for the holidays, so they were getting that ready. But being there at the end of October, the beginning of November in general is just kind of extraordinary because the leaves were at their peak of changing, and we did lots of forest walks with Rex too, and walks around the area, and it was all just unbelievably beautiful. Even though sometimes it was quite soggy, it was still really, really beautiful and a great, great time to be there because I also felt like the crowds weren't terrible.
No, not at all. What were some of your favorite meals we had in the Highlands?
Well, I mean, everybody loves a good fish and chips, right?
Oh, we had the best fish and chips.
Yeah. And it was just like a tiny little place in Narn. It wasn't anything, probably not even have a website. Like it's just the place that you kind of walk by and give it a shot,
And it's there's no place to sit. You just go in, you order your fish and chips, and you take them with you.
Yeah. They had a decent menu though. They had quite a few options and different kinds of fish and different kinds of all sorts and sauces and all sorts of things.
They did. It was great.
Yeah.
And we ate meat pie twice on that trip.
Yeah.
We got the first night at the grocery store, like a shepherd's pie kind of thing. And then we went to a farmer's market at a farm.
It was a farm store, yeah, which I think was one of my favorite things because they had so much great produce and great local things, anything from like juices and wines and drinks to desserts to meat pies. Like it was a grocery store, but literally run by a farm. So using all of their stuff, which we just kind of stumbled upon, but like a good thing to keep an eye out for as you're driving through the Highlands because there were definitely
a lot
scattered. Yeah,
because you could get fresh cheese, fresh eggs. It was really nice.
Okay, so we were in the Highlands for what?
4 nights.
4 nights. Okay, which was a good amount of time. Like we got to see and do everything we wanted and have downtime and be able to go for our lovely walks and Then we drove to Edinburgh. Okay, wait, first of all, I want to ask you, because you were driving the whole time, like, what do you feel about driving on the other side of the road?
It actually wasn't weird at all. Like I just every once in a while, like when I had to turn left or right, I had to like remember to look the other way. But actual driving, I never felt like I got confused or veered over to the wrong side of the right side of the road. Did you feel like I did at all?
Yeah, well, and I was surprised at how, I mean, because we did a lot of highway driving too, and it's pretty easy on the highway because it's
Yeah.
just, you're just
Everybody's
going.
going the same
Yeah,
direction.
yeah. So, but definitely something that I think can be daunting to people if they've never done it before.
It was probably because we were driving my car. So the steering wheel was on the left side of the car and we were driving in the left lane. So that was a little weird, but I was comfortable with my car. I knew the spatial depth of my car. So I wasn't hitting things. But when I rented a car when I was younger, it was the steering wheel was on the right side of the car. So I hit curbs. Like it's really hard to gauge space when you're driving when your steering wheel's on the other side of the car. And I'm right-handed, so doing a stick shift with my left hand was like nearly impossible. So I will say I was happy to have my car have a standard car driving. Did that make sense?
On the opposite side of the road. Yeah. Because everything was the same except the side,
Yeah.
as opposed to
Yeah.
everything being different
Yeah.
and the side.
Yeah.
All right, on to Edinburgh.
And well, we stopped on the way to Edinburgh.
Yeah.
At that, I think it was called the House of Brewer, and it was like a huge shops and grocery market and little restaurants
And garden area.
and it was, I think, like fancy clothes, like Scottish fancy clothes.
Yeah, totally.
But Dylan and I got like the best fish and chips of our trip, I think, there. And what did you get?
Well, I was over fish and chips and meat pie by that point, so I got a little quiche at the fancy food store.
Fancy food store.
Yeah.
And they had like fancy parking for people who had dogs. I'm not sure why.
I think it was so you could leave your dog in
In
the
the
car
car.
and it would be safe.
Oh,
And,
because it was shaded.
yeah, it was shaded, and everybody would know
That there were dogs in the car.
there was dogs in the car, so there wouldn't be anything like anybody pulling up next to you getting scared or anything. So I've never seen that before, but it was pretty cool.
But I will say that Scottish people go to this place to go to the place.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not just like a rest stop between one place to another. Like it's a destination in
Yeah.
itself.
Well, and there was other stuff right around too. There was
a castle.
There was a castle, and then they had a Christmas market
Yeah.
coming up. So
So yeah, it was a nice find on the way to Edinburgh. And then we got to Edinburgh. We were staying right outside in an Airbnb.
wasn't great.
It wasn't really what we were looking for. It was further outside of the city than we thought. So that was a problem.
And when you have the dog at the house and we're going back and forth from the city trying to like make sure that he's not alone too long, but that we're seeing enough in the city, because I didn't know what it was going to be like just to have him and how dog friendly it was for, in case I wanted to go inside anywhere. So it's hard on the first day to have him with me all the time because you just don't know what's going to be allowed and what's not. So it was just too far, and it was your birthday, and
It was my birthday. And
it didn't feel special.
yeah, so we stayed the first night there. And then the next day was my birthday, and we went in. And it's going to sound really lame, but I like to go to all the dungeons when we're in places that have dungeons. So there was it's like more of an amusement thing than an actual dungeon. But so we went to the Edinburgh dungeon, right? Mm-hmm. For my birthday. And then we went right back to the house, packed up our stuff, and came back to Edinburgh for the night. And we found probably the best, like it was the best hotel we've ever stayed in.
If not, it's definitely in the top 5.
I mean, I'll let you describe it, but
Well, it's the Cheval Old Town Suites, and it's right on like the main
on High Street.
on High Street. And so like perfect location, right? You walk out the door and everything's at your fingertips. It was supposed to be a 1 bedroom, but like with a couch that or a
Well, they
sleeping
called it a
area.
sleeping cove.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was in the sleeping cove, and let me tell you, it was a bedroom, and the bed was
Bigger than her bedroom at home.
and the bed was enormous and super high. Remember, it was like up to my chest.
Yeah.
And the place was just okay. So then you walk in. There is a full dining room table, a full kitchen. Keep going. There's a living room with like this enormous brick 2-story tall wall with a huge window. Then you go upstairs, or then there's a sleeping corner, whatever the heck they called it, cubby, whatever, but there was a full bedroom.
That you could close the doors to. It's a bedroom.
Yeah. And then you go upstairs, and there's a huge bedroom with a huge bathroom and like a work area. There was also a bathroom downstairs. So basically 2 full bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, a full kitchen, a full living room. And
it was huge.
And it was also just so beautifully done. Like it was lovely.
Like, it was almost like Ralph Lauren decorated himself. The couch was like blue velvet. It was the nicest hotel, I've got to say. I mean, I think it rivals Gritty Palace.
Yeah, and they gave Rex a bed that was like
for a Great Dane.
Yeah, it was enormous, and he always hates when he's given a bed because it smells like other dogs, and why should he sleep somewhere that other dogs have been? But he went straight for it and lied down because he looked like a king on this thing. It was huge, and like the orthopedic bed, like he was so proud of himself.
So it's a bit of a splurge if you want to stay there. We had a bunch of Expedia points.
But it's a splurge.
It's a splurge.
But we were only there for one night.
And it was...
And it made it so much easier in terms of getting back and forth. And, you did have to convince us to leave the room, though, at a certain point, because it was just so nice.
We unfortunately had a ferry to catch, so we had to. But yeah, it was... Oh, and the breakfast the next morning was so good.
Yeah, it was lovely.
So we should talk about the actual day, because I did mention it about the dungeon, but it was a full day of stuff we did in Edinburgh. We should talk about it.
Yeah, so we started off having like a late breakfast. They don't really start serving lunch anywhere until 12:30, I believe.
Yeah.
And so we were like right on the cusp of breakfast and lunch. So we decided that we were going to have breakfast. And we stopped at this place called Inn on the Mile, which is on High Street. And it was just this cute little kind of restaurant pubby place.
Yeah.
And we had a really nice breakfasty brunch there.
I had eggs Benedict for my birthday breakfast. It was so good, and a big pint of beer.
And they had eggs Benedict. They had hot chocolates. Like something for everyone. They had a bit of everything. So that was really nice. And then we headed to the Edinburgh dungeon, which we mentioned before. And they have the dungeons. Like we've done the one in Amsterdam too, and one in London. It's kitschy but it's just kind of a fun, cheesy experience, especially if you have older kids. I think it's fun.
Much older.
Yeah, you don't want to take little kids there because it could probably be a little scary.
And you learn a little history of the town.
You don't think that's true?
Rex was mad he didn't get to go.
You might learn something.
It's fun. I enjoyed it. That's what I wanted to do for my birthday, so we did it.
Yeah. And Dylan loved it.
He did.
Dylan really loved it.
We're looking forward to going to Dublin to do the Dublin one.
And it's cute. And they do the whole picture. So you also have a little souvenir, and there's a little ride at the end. So, I would say for 10 and up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go too much younger than 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cute. And you have to be a certain height to ride the ride at the end. So yeah, I would say 10 or 11 and up.
We shopped around a lot that day.
There's
cute stores on High Street and lots of little souvenir places that was nice. Lots of cashmere.
Lots of lamb's wool, lots of plaids, lots of fudge. The Scottish fudge was everywhere.
And lots of whiskey.
Yeah. Yeah. But nice just to kind of wander around and do a little bit of shopping.
Now, it was my birthday, so I wanted Mexican food for my birthday, and Lisa and Dylan found a Mexican restaurant called Mariachi. It's Tex-Mex, and it was the best Tex-Mex that we've had since moving to Europe in 2017. It was so good. Even you thought so.
I did think so. But we also have to back up and say, like, we came from Southern California, where Mexican food is very prevalent and very delicious. So it's been a long dry spell.
A good margarita is hard to find in Europe.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who don't realize what real Mexican really is, or what California, my version of Mexican is. So it was nice to be able to have a little taste at home too.
And I will say I did a lot of research on restaurants, so I'm going to list a bunch of restaurants I found on the website. So for ideas for everybody else, which we're going to try to get to next time we go back. But I really wanted Mexican, and we were only there for a very short time.
So, but after dinner, we were all stuffed full of burritos, and we went for a walk and kind of meandered for a bit, but ended up at the castle. And it was very dark by the time we got up to the top, and it was just lovely to see all the lights of the whole city, and the castle's all lit up. I mean, it was pretty magical.
It was, and there was not very many people up there.
No, not at all.
And then the next day our trip was over, and it was time to drive back to England, get on a ferry, and head back to Amsterdam.
Yeah, so this, like we mentioned, it was a little bit different in that we planned our food differently. We did the buffet dinner on the way home, but it was fine. It was totally fine. A lot less expensive, more budget friendly. Not quite as good, but still completely fine. Yeah.
So, what was your favorite moment on the trip?
Well, I have one in each place, I think.
Okay.
I would say being up at the castle at night was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And my other one would be the secret beach.
Okay. Mine would be the cows.
Uh-huh.
And the Mexican food.
Nice. All right, so highly recommend both the Highlands and Edinburgh. We didn't go to Glasgow. Maybe that's on our to-do next time trip. But we did really love both of them. I think the only thing that I would caution or, give as a tip and something to be prepared for is obviously the weather, which I think everybody knows. It can be cold, it can be wet. So, be prepared for all of that. But otherwise, it's a really good time.
It was great. I loved it.
Thanks for tuning in. We will be back next week with a new trip for you.
And be sure to check out our website, thegetaways.com. That's the GETAWAYZ.com.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.